Hi guys, so we are on our last Elements of Art project. The last one we're going over is form, which is a 3D object. So what we're going to do, well, you'll have two choices this week. Choice one is to make a paper mask, and choice two, which you can watch the next video, is how to create homemade clay. So I wasn't sure what materials you guys had available to you for these projects, so I'm giving you two options. If you want to do both, that's wonderful. If you want to just pick one, that's perfectly fine too. So if you look at my mask, you're going to be able to choose whatever theme you want. I went with space, and I actually used Copic markers and some construction paper to add a little pop-up. Honestly, if you just have like plain paper, like copy paper, and a pencil, you can make this mask. If you want to get a little fancy and experiment with a couple different materials, go for it. So I'm going to show you how to create the form of the mask, pretty easy, and then you'll take time to design it, and then the last step will be popping it up into the mask, okay? So we're going to get started. All right, the supplies you need for this project are going to be paper, pencil, scissors, you're going to have to glue the corners of the mask, or tape or staple, whatever you have available. And then you're gonna need something to color it with, whether it could be watercolor, it could be crayons, it could be oil pastels. I'm actually going to use Copic markers to add color to my mask. So it's pretty easy making the mask. And I'm going to take you through the steps, and then it's going to be up to you, the colors you choose or the theme you're going to design it with. So let's get started. First, you're going to take your paper and you're going to fold it in half. Now, if you're using a material like markers or oil pastels, you might want a paper that's kind of heavier than like computer paper. Maybe a paper from your sketchbook might work better. I'm using Bristol paper, so it's a little bit heavier. It's not quite as heavy as a poster board, but it's much heavier than like copy paper. So after I folded it in half, I'm going to turn it and fold it again. Okay, so it looks like a small book. So the folded end should be on the left side, just like you would in a book. So you notice that all these sides are open, you want them over here. And so what I like to do is I like to draw a line at the top of the corner. Now this is a corner that you can see all four separate corners. You don't want the one that's all attached together. You want the one where you can count 1, 2, 3, 4 papers. And I'm going to draw a line, and I'm trying to round this corner off. Okay, then at the opposite corner, we're going to draw a little rainbow. This is eventually going to turn it into the eyes. So I'm going to skip a little bit of a space from the corner. Notice it's the corner that has 2 folds in it, okay? So like all the papers are folded here. It's not over here because you can see the separations. They're all together. And it is the opposite side that we just kind of curved. So I am going to go like this and draw kind of half of a circle or half of an oval, however you want to look at it, or even if you want to call it a rainbow. Okay, so after you've done that, you are going to cut with the scissors and round that corner. You might want to go back and take the time to round it. Okay, so now that it's rounded, I'm going to come in here and cut here. I want to take your time with this because I'm using thicker paper. It's a little bit hard to cut through. Okay, so before we open it up, you're actually going to draw a line at kind of where like the top of the corner would have been. I'm going to draw down just a little bit, like 1.5 inches. Not really measuring, but if you needed a number, it would probably be around 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to take my scissors and cut. Okay, once you've done all 3 of those steps, where you've cut the corner, you've cut in, and you've cut this here, you now open up your paper. And I have the start to my mask. Now it's looking a little big, but eventually we are going to curve the corners like this with glue. Now, as I'm doing this, I can already see I should have cut this a little bit bigger. So I'm just gonna do that. You might have to go back and do that. But I'm gonna show you how to do the corners after we add the color and decoration to this, because it's going to be really hard if we pop it up to make it look 3D and you're not able to really color as hard as you would want to. So it's easier to do all of that when it's flat. Now the design, what you're making, is totally up to you. I think I'm going to use mainly Copic markers and also maybe a little bit of construction paper if you have that available to you. So I'm going to design in pencil first. I think I'm going for kind of like a space theme for this one. So we'll see how that turns out. So after you've created your design over your mask, it really can be anything. I went with space. I even added like one little pop-up item with paper. If you don't have that, that's totally fine if you're just drawing it. Honestly, you could design your whole mask with pencil, so don't worry if you don't have a ton of supplies. So the last thing that we do is we're gonna pop out the mask. So if you remember, we cut the corners. Now, if you don't have glue, you can use tape or staples. They probably might even work better than glue because it's an instant hold. Because with the glue, you have to hold it for like 20 seconds. But you'll notice that I put the glue on and I pushed them and I held it. And then you're gonna do that for each of the corners. Okay, and then after you finish folding each of the 4 corners, you're done with your mask. And if you wanted to, you can notice how it scoops in the back. You can actually like staple or attach paper, like a paper band or like a piece of yarn for it to stay on your head. So I look forward to seeing all your different masks.